Hello guys, a first version of AstroPatank is finally released on 3DO and I thought it was about time because I have been trying to optimize things a lot and rewrite certain things for the 3DO specifically, and because now I'm a bit off of the project and I'm moving home, I'm moving to a new home, I have other things. I decided it was enough to release the first official version, AstroPatank 3DO Beta 1, that's how I named it. So we're gonna just play it. I'm capturing with OBS, hopefully everything is okay. And maybe I'll just casually play it, even though there will be a delay. I wonder about the smoothness because I start without vsync for the main game. Quit does nothing. I could let the music play. Yeah, something I forgot to do that. The intro goes easily over 60 frames, so although this console is PAL and it's 50 frames, so I can easily vsync it to be perfectly smooth. And but now I start because inside the game it's better to play without vsync for now, so that the frame rate doesn't drop suddenly from 60 to 30. Because it's variable, it's going over 30, 40, 50, it can reach over 60, it can reach 90, 100 in very easy places. The music is the MIDI from DOS, which we converted to MUS files like the ones in Doom. But here are the original MIDI files with better instruments, and I just converted them to audio, CD audio files. Okay, I'll start. We have a difficulty selection. The game is still too easy. Now, if you put hard, you have much less health and... Actually, so I have mapped... Let's see. Okay, yeah, that's the correct. So you're supposed... You should be collecting 50. No, this zooming level is the fastest, and if I press... I have a very simple... The frame rate is over the bars. So with hard difficulty the energy and shield is much lower. However, the game is still very easy. So if I put vsync, here it's 50. I don't know how it looks. I'm capturing, so maybe it looks worse. But if you go here, okay, it's still 50. I dropped to 40 something. Yeah, it still is, and it's a beta, and I might try to design some enemies that also suit you. Because now you do really have to cross someone, and it's not easy. Now, since I enable vsync, So you have those views. This view will fall into 25. But I think even here that there's many blocks, it will be a stable 25. If I remove vsync, you see it goes 31, 29, 30, 37, 42. Surprisingly, this full map is faster, and there's a reason. I did some optimization, not exactly optimization, change of rendering the top down, because the top down view, so in those views you need to render the top blocks and the sides. So you have in this block here, you have the top, which is one quad, and the sides are 3 quads at each side, because they go darker and darker and darker. There are different layers. The whole map is 64 by 64 by 4 layers. Actually, there are 3. The layer 0 is the ground with those brown quads. What I realized initially, when I was in this zoom level, which I only wanted to use it as a map, it was going not 40 frames, 40 or 38 here, it was going 12 frames. It was very slow, because I literally was rendering everything. I only rendered the top quads though, because the side quads, it's so small that you can see. I rendered the 4 layers of the with the top quads. But in total it could be maybe over 1,000. Maybe it was several hundreds or 1,000 micro quads. And also all the math to figure out what to render. So when you went outside, some of them are not rendered. The projection for the parallax, because you can still see a bit of a depth, the colors and everything. But now what did I do for this mode only? I'm saving the map, the 4 layers in a transparent and compressed texture. So now instead of rendering hundreds or even 1,000 of quads, I haven't counted them for these individual blocks. I render 4 big quads. It's 4 big bitmaps that are only scaled. They are not rotated. They are not, and they have a texture of the actual map. But I'm rendering the 4 layers because, you know, sometimes sprites or myself are passing through below this bridge, so I didn't want to render. So I'm rendering layer in the ground, then the sprites, then first layer, then second, third, and those are big 64 by 64 texture, but compressed because most of the space is empty. So I avoid rendering the map polygons one by one. Instead of 1,000 micro polygons, it's 4 big texture quads on top of each other. And it worked really well because that's all I wanted in this map, to have a map where you can see where things are. Now if you zoom here, you're going to see this parallax polygon sides, real 3D. So I'm rendering top polygons, left, right. Obviously optimize, like if some of the polygons in one block are occluded because they are nearby polygons and you will never see it. I have sanitized the geometry. Anyway, I could die here, but before I die, I want to have this thing so that we see. Maybe this zooming level is good. Because I realized you cannot open the options menu in start, and now in the beginning when I was showing this preview, you could press start and go to the main menu. Now you can't. You have to either win or die. Okay, for this season I'm gonna kill myself. So now I see I can still zoom, everything else is blocked. I'm so happy about the performance on the top level because it's not only the blocks, but when you look, first of all I made a clever system that when you are inside, zoomed in, beforehand with some very simple calculation, I know if an entire 3D mesh like these enemies or the item, if it's inside or outside. If it's outside the view, I will just not draw it, not do the transformation, not do anything, and it's a very simple check. It's some kind of a bounding box check against the. Okay, at this zoom level, what are the extents of the screen? Minus screen width, plus screen width, half screen width, minus and plus, half screen height, minus and plus an extra tile, because I assume the enemies, I don't have bounding box, the enemies usually and the items are similar to a tile, so it's an edge checking if some of the enemies and things are inside the edges of the screen or outside. And if it's just outside, I don't render stuff. I even had a bug in the initial version where the number I added with tile, maybe it was fixed point, it was multiplied by something, or I don't remember. And the real extent I was talking was two screens bigger to the left and the right or something like that. So you would have nothing on the screen, but you would see the frame rate going up and down, and it didn't make sense. Now it's very precise. And now in this mode everything has to be calculated, except if it goes down below, but that's where I profile the 3D meshes, the enemies and items and so on, and a lot of other stuff, their logic, their 3D transformation, and then the rendering with the cells. Everything is cells now. Everything, absolutely everything. No software rendering. Not even for fonts, not even for particles. But anyway, I profiled and I also found that they were suffering in many cases. I wasn't using the hardware matrix because I ported the code from PC. The technique I used from PC were something to avoid multiplication, but have to generate a small lookup table of values. You would have to do it for every item. It's a very special technique that doesn't work in this case, and even the using multiplying matrix with the CPU instead of this technique was kinda better. So I paused all the items, I did some profiling where I paused all the enemies and use the same random seed so that I'm sure it's the same configurations of objects on the screen. I zoomed out and I saw where the frame rate is, and I also profiled some functions. And that's how I increased a lot. So this is better also because of the optimization I did, and there can be more. I have some more ideas. If I pushed it too hard, I could maybe we could get a little bit better frame rate, but now it's 25 to 50, 30 to 60. Now I have vsync enabled, and if I press start, I'm not gonna open this options menu. It's gonna because of game over. And now you see here is perfect 50, and I think it will be perfect 60 because the frame rate goes to 90 or 80 something without vsync, which is cool. And even here I did some improvement with the polygons. There are cases where I don't need to sort the polygons. Here I don't need to sort the polygons, and also I don't need to have the back face culling for this one. which I do on CPU, but I realize it might be better. And everywhere where the matrix is okay, this is just one matrix or two X and Y rotation. I generate a matrix. I generate the matrix for rotations over X and Y, not X and Y. And so like I did such improvement and refactor the function so that I can easily set up every object the way I want. In the main game, some of the objects are always convex and they don't need to sort. Also, when you zoom out, even in the second level of zoom, I disable the sorting because you are not going to be able to see. In the very first level, if I don't sort the polygons, certain objects you can kinda see some polygons going in front, but and even those they have a bit of overhead when you have a lot of small objects and so on. So anyway, I'll start again. I'm gonna put, I mean it doesn't, I could play, I'm gonna show you medium. Now the bars are better. Now I'm gonna disable vsync and let the frame rate speak. Now you see the frame rate sometimes, yeah, I'm trying to go away you object. 91, 96. Anyway, now I'm gonna play it normally. I'm gonna get 50 of this. We also see how the frame rate moves, and maybe I'm looking at the recording now, and it can be a bit choppy configured, but I think it's better on it might be the recording. But again, it would be better to have stable frame rate. I might, in a future version, I might change it so that if it drops under, I would detect and disable the vsync maybe. Or just not do vsync. If it's over 50 or 60, I should just enable the vsync. I think I have done that. This is the shield. I'm getting back my shield. Okay, maybe play like this. Now all you have to do is collect 50 rings. I know, very simple, but now this is giving you power. And when I get the last one, I'm gonna, I wanted to do some weapons. I know it's a bit hard to control, especially when I'm recording and so when you are damaged, now you only have health, and also it might, now if you hit on if you bounce, you're gonna lose health too, and now I'm gonna get this health. A bit faster. I like the smooth particles, of course. Let's get the shield. Is it too much? Are 50 rings too much? I mean, it's a game that you finish fast. The hardest thing is to control it and not to not die. Okay, so now I mean, all of this started as a tech demo thing. However, it's the most complete thing I have done on a game jam. But I know it could have been more challenging. I got another idea. When I was developing, I removed the mesh render, and the only thing that stayed. Now you cannot get that. I could make it do something. There are many ideas I can do. The thing is when I will be free, and also in the DOS version, which I will release soon. And the DOS version has, from one contributor, we have joypad support, and I'm gonna try it with my Gravis gamepad. I couldn't find my Gravis gamepad to try it, but I got the pull request for the code and added it. Yeah, because I know this contributor. I trust him. And now because I'm cleaning house and I'm trying to pack things and for my move to the new house, I just found my graphics gamepad somewhere. Say, oh, there it goes. Who knows what else I'll find? Maybe something I have lost forgotten. And now gate open, which is very special. In those I was just line rendering. You can continue, of course. But here it's using the 4 cells with some cyber texture. I call it cyber texture. Colored and blended. So now you cannot do anything. Just press start. And here is okay. Now I have frame rate and disable vsync, and we get well over 60 frames. So this would vsync very nicely. But I should have made it so that vsync is enabled in this menu and disabled unless you want it in the main game. Because the first time you start it's disabled. And I think it would look more smooth enabled. Quit does nothing. This is from the DOS port. That's the easy. Such a long bar. Let's go mindless like this. I have some other movement profile that work different, and another idea would be to make the code is already in place to program 4 movements and maybe change the sprite. And I was thinking I could make some tank. You can control the tank and maybe even a character. If I change the texture and make longer layers, yeah, that would be slow. I could do some other game ideas with this. Maybe some GTA thing, but I had some idea where I removed the sprites and I was moving the particles. The particles were these light particles. I can add more. And anyways guys, this is AstroPatank 3DO. I have uploaded it on itch.io, my itch.io account. I have uploaded it on my GitHub. I will give the links. And whoever wants to try, they can try. There's and I might improve it on the future, both this and the DOS version. Maybe also start designing some levels, new enemies, some actual weapons. We'll see. And that's it guys. Bye!